Do you think it's been a long time coming that Pete Carroll would? I know they talked about mutually parting ways, but then did you hear him talk? It didn't seem like he was ecstatic to be gone or to not be a coach.
Yeah, I didn't hear all of that. I'm still yet to catch up on all of that. But I did see it. First off, I was incredibly sad as a fan of football. Pete Carroll is one of the great coaches of my
Incredible.
lifetime. He is a great coach. It's kind of sad to see that there's going to be an NFL when Pete Carroll is not coaching as a head coach in it next year. Or so it seems. I felt the same way when a Brady retired. When Sean Payton originally retired, when Manning retired. Like, these are the childhood pillars of the NFL in my lifetime. So that's one thing I would say. Um, did I see it coming? No. I think Pete Carroll has done a very good job in Seattle, but I think that the messaging had gotten stale, not because of what they were doing necessarily, but even all the adjustments they made on defense this year with going away from the Seattle scheme, adding all these 3-4 looks and adding this Fangio style defense to their scheme and doing stuff like that. They were not, very good this year on defense. In fact, you could argue they were arguably one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And so because of that, I understand Seattle going in a separate direction. They have a young football team. There's never been a better time to probably transition away from the oldest coach in the NFL. But I didn't feel like it was a long time coming. I still feel like Pete Carroll is a great coach. And a part of me is happy because, I got anxiety as a Niners fan watching him chew gum with the utmost confidence, regardless of score on the sideline. But
Yeah.
I will miss him as a coach. He's one of the great coaches of my lifetime.
Do you think that he will be replaced by a coach that will make an impact in the NFC West, or do you think it'll kind of be like a no-name guy?
I have no clue. I mean, Seattle in my lifetime, they had Mike Comeran forever, and then they had Pete Carroll. So I think there might have been somebody in between, if I'm not forgetting. But yeah, those are the two coaches I can really remember. They've had long tenured coaches. So I could see, yeah, them getting somebody else that's, a veteran name that's been there and been coaching for a while.
If Jim Harbaugh went to Seattle, would you be more or less scared of the Seahawks compared to Pete Carroll at this stage of his career coaching for both of them, different
Yeah,
stages?
I think Jim Harbaugh is a great coach, but I don't see him going to Seattle. I don't know that that's necessarily the NFL job to leave what he's built in Michigan for.
I just feel like the Chargers are cheap, so I don't think that they're going to get him, but maybe they've learned from their cheapness. Um,
Maybe, but I
could
think the
be.
Washington job makes sense. I don't know why the Bears are sticking with Matt Eberflus. I'd throw
I
what I
know I
can at
saw that
Jim
this morning.
Harbaugh.
What the heck?
Yeah, I'd throw what I can at Jim Harbaugh. It's a very interesting situation. I'd also love to see Harbaugh again in the NFL because I feel like he's made certain adjustments in Michigan. I want to preface this by saying I think he was a great coach. I enjoyed his time with the Niners.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love the who's got it better than us? All of those things are fond memories. But I do remember the issues he had too, like the pre-snap penalties, the clock issues, the game management issues. All of these things did exist. I think they contributed in why the 49ers didn't win a Super Bowl in the Jim Harbaugh era. There were a few other things, but I think definitely there were coaching flaws for Jim Harbaugh that contributed towards that. And I would love to see him in the NFL now if he's improved on those things, what his approach would be, if he would still be as conservative. His brother has changed a lot over time. He seems to have
His
changed quite
brother,
a bit.
we were just talking about like Adam Peters versus some other guys who got hired over Adam Peters, but didn't have maybe the public reputation that he does. And I feel that way. And potentially it's only because I'm a 49ers fan, usually on the West Coast. Maybe I just don't hear the chatter as much. But I feel like Jim Harbaugh is talked about so much more than John, even though John has a Super Bowl and has been like with the Ravens forever. And obviously, both are incredibly successful coaches with their different styles. But do you also feel that way that like Jim has more of a public appearance than John?
Maybe he's got a bigger brand, but I think that also plays into him winning in the Pac-12 with Stanford, having that moment with the "What's your deal" when they blew out Pete Carroll, then the San Francisco. He's got more of a personality than John Harbaugh. He's got that kind of personality that attracts everybody to him. He's just got great charisma and he's got eyes on him wherever he goes. I think that's just their personalities. I think it's not really a out of proportionate credit that's given to either of
I'm
them.
I'm interested in two quick questions that aren't specific to the 49ers, but when you talked about the what the heck comments, it made me think, did you see Atlanta Falcons coach
Arthur
kind
Smith.
of Arthur Smith going off on Dennis Allen?
Yeah.
And do you think that running up the score is disrespectful in football, or do you like it? Is it weird that like I don't think that you should like I don't care if you're winning. Like I think maybe like I don't even think that. I was gonna say maybe don't be like an asshole, but like I think the point of the game is to be, and maybe it's on like you're taking a chance in the fact as a coach that if you're like going for it up by over 20 points in the fourth quarter, like your quarterback or one of your players could get hurt. So maybe like from your team's fans perspective, you could be like, hey, don't do that. Just because you're not like protecting your players. But in the for the love of the game feel of it, for me, I don't like the call off the dogs because it makes the other team look bad type of feel that I felt like Arthur Smith was mad about. Like he was like, oh, that's more disrespectful. And my thought
I don't
is,
know if that was
stop it.
necessarily that situation. I don't care about running up the score. Everybody's an adult here. You get over it.
Yeah.
You're paid to do a job, and sometimes you have bad days on the job. That's what happens with everything. But
Yeah.
in terms of what they did, I think there's a built-in rule in the NFL. There's an
You're
understanding
gonna
that in
be.
victory formation, it's neutral. You're not going to run at each other. I think it was
That makes
2012 when Greg Schiano, week 1 and week 2 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were losing in victory formation. Other team would get into victory formation to win the game, and their defensive line would push in victory formation. And that caused a lot of conflict. The conflict wasn't, oh my God, they were trying to win that play game in victory formation. I think everybody's like, okay, you're trying to win the game in any capacity. It was that we have this white flag agreement, this truce agreement on this play that we're not going to hurt each other. And now you're coming and trying to hurt somebody. Like we're
yeah.
not prepared for that. Just run the play if you're not going to do that. And I think that's
That
what
makes
was the
sense.
case
That makes
here
sense.
as well. It wasn't that, oh
Like,
my
let
God,
us
they
prepare
ran
to
up the
try to
score on
stop you
Atlanta.
and prepare our
It
bodies.
was, we're standing here like the game's over. We're going to sit down. We're going to kneel. You're going to kneel. Everybody's going to go home. And now, as we're doing that, we're running a play down your throat. That was, I thought, messed up.
Okay, I definitely understand that. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're going to go for it, that's totally fine in your opinion. But let the other team, one, prepare to stop you in a way where it's good on good. But two, like, that could potentially cause injury if I'm sitting there, like, not fully prepared, bracing my body because I think we're all kneeling. That makes sense.
Right.
I like that.
Right.
Um, Oh, and then really quick, you talked about Bears. Do you think that they should move on from Justin Fields? I think yes, obviously, but I know that because he's won a couple of games last minute, Bears fans, feel hope for the first time. They don't know what optimism. You're in Chicago. Oh, you're the perfect person to ask about this. How do you feel one about Justin Fields in general? Really quick, there maybe not. Just do you think that they should stick with him or not? And
Yeah.
do
So
you have friends that like him? Because I feel like the narrative around him changed for Chicago fans.
yeah, I think people are kind of scattered. They're all over the place. I think Bears fans are sick of changing quarterbacks, and he's brought some hope because he's clearly talented. I think he's kind of in the same position Daniel Jones was in last year, where he shows enough glimpses of talent where you think he's got a chance, but there's not enough consistency for you to say, yeah, he's that guy. You don't really know if you want to pay him, let alone how much you want to pay him. And you don't know that just because you surround him with more, he's going to necessarily become that guy. I would move off of Justin Fields. My buddy Blake, who I used to do this with, said it best to me, in my opinion.
I was
He
subscribed
said,
to your channel when it was Vision Blake, by the way.
yeah, there we
Um,
go. Look at that. And he said it best. He said, I would move on from a quarterback unless I'm confident I'm going to pay that quarterback. Because if you're not confident that you're going to pay that quarterback, you're kind of stuck in limbo, excuse me. And instead of being stuck in limbo, if you have the opportunity to draft another quarterback on a rookie wage scale with the first pick, you're taking another chance at getting a guy that you could pay. And I understand you're never going to solve your problem moving from quarterback to quarterback, but structurally and financially, the way the NFL is built right now, the worst thing you can do is give a lot of money to a quarterback
Marry
that
yourself
doesn't deserve it, excuse me. And so I think that's where you are with Justin Fields, because there's no way that you can tell yourself after 4 or 3 years of this Justin Fields experience that, one, he's not a bust. He's shown that. He's clearly a starter in the NFL, but you can't tell yourself he's one of these franchise guys either. And when you can't tell yourself that and you feel like you have a contractual obligation coming up, I would just rip the Band-Aid off, let him go get the assets that you can get and build anew with all the assets you have around the next quarterback. And maybe he isn't the guy, but you're giving yourself another opportunity to find the guy. And I think Fields is close. Fields has a chance to be that guy, but he hasn't proven it yet. And you can't take the chance to pay a guy that hasn't proven it.
Completely agree. I like that. I was like, oh, I feel like you would have good thoughts about this. Really quick, Steve Wilkes is also getting interviewed for the Chargers job. Do you think that he stays with San Francisco this year, or do you think he moves on?
I have no clue. I don't think he gets the Chargers job though.
I don't think he gets the Chargers job. Two, I feel like it might be nice. Like, didn't no, it wasn't Robert Saleh. I thought was it D'Amico Ryans? He pulled out for a year. Like he ended up staying for 2 years when he was getting interviewed his first year.
D'Amico
Like
got two, and
sometimes
then
it's nice.
Robert Saleh got beaten out for the Browns job by Kevin Stefanski
Yeah.
his first year, and then he got the Jets job in the next cycle.